I first met Tom in 1955. He was dancing at the time, but he'd injured his leg in the production of Carousel at the Grand Theatre for the Leeds amateurs. And a friend of mine was in rehearsals for the students' rag show, the Leeds Empire, and Tom was supposed to be in it, but he'd had to drop out. So they were looking for a substitute dancer. I had a lot of experience with ballroom dancing and competition dancing, but not stage work. So I went and took over from Tom. Tom had already learned the choreography, so he took me on one side and went through the choreography with me, and I worked in with the other dancers there. And that was how we first met. Tom was 12 years older than me, but we had the same interests. We loved traveling. We went all over the place together, around Bavaria, Germany, different parts of Italy, Florence, Naples. We visited Pompeii on several occasions and Herculaneum. We went to North Africa once, but quite a few holidays in the Greek islands. We enjoyed that enormously. We never came out. We always made sure that we didn't embarrass anybody else. We didn't flaunt it. You had to be very careful about it. There were several other couples who we knew, and we just came to accept that we were a couple. One thing I remember, actually, even as a schoolboy, I didn't know of gay people, and my parents knew them, and they weren't hostile towards them at all. They were great fun. But I don't remember homosexuality ever being mentioned. Tom would definitely have liked us to move in together, but it would have been on his terms. And I always said I would move in with him, but I wanted some of my furniture and all that stuff. But he wanted me to get rid of my home and move in with him. Well, that wasn't going to happen. But we spent a lot of time together. I used to spend weekends over at his house. We were quite happy with that. And funnily enough, we didn't have much hostility from anybody. When they brought out civil partnerships and then gay marriages a few years later, I said to Tom, do you want to do it? He says, no. I said, oh, gee, thanks. 59 years and I've been dumped. He says, no, you're not being dumped. He says, but you know I would never do anything to embarrass my family. He had so many falls when he was older because he was in his 90s by then. And every time he fell, he always used to fall on his face. He broke his nose, his cheekbone, 2 skull fractures, but his last fall was his undoing, actually. Being Tom, he never did things by halves. He fell down the steps at the British Museum in London, backwards, and landed on the back of his head and cracked his skull. And so they took him in hospital. Now the doctor said, he's not going anywhere. He's got a blood clot and it needs removing. He'll have to have surgery to remove it. Well, he did, but they told me after the operation, we've removed the blood clot, but I'm afraid the brain's damaged. He was in the LGI and St. James's alternately for the next 6 months. And then finished up, they got him into a nursing home at Headingley near me. And I went every day, shaved him and visited him, fed him at lunchtime when he got there, he couldn't do it. And eventually he died in there. We had some wonderful times.